Okay, so as we all know, there is nothing more American than apple pie, baseballs, Harley Davidsons, although that might not be a Harley Davidson, and Ameritrash. Well, now that that's over, I can properly talk to you about games, and this week is America's birthday. Happy birthday, America! I had big plans to go down to Philadelphia and sit in front of our nation's Constitutional Liberty Bell Center. But I changed my mind. Why not show you something more cool? Like the leftover furnaces from Bethlehem Steel Company, which was the second largest steel manufacturer in the country. It made all the steel for the Golden Gate Bridge, for the battleships, I think. I just think that's far cooler than, I don't know, hey, look at this cracked bell. I'm sure there are a ton of tacky American themed games or games with American theme just pasted onto it that I could talk about, but there are so much better games and I'm going to focus on that instead, okay? If you're looking for a bit of history this holiday season, you could play Founding Fathers by Christian Leonard and Jason Matthews, who also made 1960, The Making of a President, Kennedy versus Nixon, voting, elections, publicity. Play it, check it out. Anyway, Founding Fathers is an area control, hand management, set collection maybe type game where each player plays a group of delegates and they are trying to push through as many articles as possible to be the most influential, I guess, in the writing of the Constitution process, sort of. Depending on which way the votes swing, history will go just as normal and the articles that were actually in the Constitution will get voted into it. Otherwise, there's a committee room where not exactly historically accurate articles are voted on and into the Constitution. There are some debate things you can do to influence the game and how things either pass or fail. And after 4 rounds and all 12 articles are voted on, the game is over, and then the person who has the best, or I guess most aligned votes, wins the game. Another awesome game is 1775 Rebellion by Bo Beckett and Jeff Stahl, the same 2 guys that did 1812 The Invasion of Canada, which is another good game, historical, involves America. So if you were going to go crazy, you could play that too. I like to think of 1775, well, I guess both of them actually, as Euro meets war game. In 1775, one player takes on the American Continental Army and the Patriots, and then another plays the British Army and the Loyalists. Players have a unique deck of cards that allow them to do different things on a given turn. There's a hand limit, you can only play so many, etc. But, you know, read the rules. Dice determine the outcome of the battles, and if you don't like rolling dice, yep. And then the player with the most flag markers at the end of the game wins. A less favorable, arguably more controversial side of American history can be looked at when playing Freedom, the Underground Railroad by Brian Mayer. It's a co-op game where players are trying to help free slaves move them along the Underground Railroad while also advancing the abolitionist movement. At its core, it's a pick up and deliver system, and it's all built on a point-to-point movement system. Players aren't simply trying to move slaves along the railroad, they are also trying to build up funds to make sure that their movement has the steam it needs to keep going. There are slave catchers that move around the board, they're kind of like an NPC type thing, and events that happen that you don't want to happen necessarily. So you have to be aware of lots of things, as I'm sure you would have been if you were involved in the movement back then. I'm not sure winner is the right term, but the game team abolitionists win if there are no more support tokens to be bought and there are enough slaves in Canada. If you can't add slaves to a certain track, I can't remember which one, then you lose right away, immediately. Skipping way ahead into history, there is Twilight Struggle by Ananda Gupta and Jason Matthews. One player is America and the other player is the Soviet Union. It's an action point allowance game with area control and card-driven battles where players are trying to control key geographic areas, especially Europe. Does that win you the game? If domination isn't your thing, you can try to force your player to initiate DEFCON level 1, and then that creates nuclear war. And the game happens over 3 eras, each introducing new cards based on things that happened historically during that time period, leaders, events, etc. The victory point tracker has a really cool tug of war feel to it, really adds to the tension. So there are a couple different ways to win. If you control Europe when the Europe scorecard is played, you win. If you force one other person to do the DEFCON thing, you win. Oh, if you get to 20 victory points, you win. Worst case, it goes to a let's score every region by this as if a scoring card was just played. Whoever has the most victory points at the end wins. And then if the victory point track is on the positive side, America wins. And if the victory point track is on the negative side, the Soviet Union wins. Those birds suck, holy cow. Okay, so now that I am done talking about all of those American games, there are a ton of other ones I could have done. I could have gone Western themed and done Deadwood and Carson City because, you know, Americans are a bunch of cowboys, but I didn't. I went all boring historical because that's just what I did. But I hope you have a good 4th of July weekend. I hope you have lots of fun times with families and friends, and of course I hope you have that fun over board games, but if you don't, that's okay, I understand. But I will see you next week, hopefully not sunburnt.